Good evening, America. Tonight, the war just crossed a line it has never crossed before. Iran shot down an American military helicopter. A United States Army Apache helicopter, one of the most advanced and lethal rotary-wing aircraft in the world, was patrolling over the Strait of Hormuz on Monday night when an Iranian drone hit it and sent it into the water. 2 American pilots went down with it. They were rescued safely by a drone boat, the first time in American military history that unmanned naval technology rescued human pilots from the water. But that fact, as remarkable as it is, does not change what Iran did. Iran shot down an American military aircraft, and President Trump went on Truth Social this morning and told the world exactly what happens next. He wrote, "The United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack." And then America did respond. U.S. Central Command launched strikes on Iran beginning at 5 in the afternoon Eastern Time, hitting Iranian air defense systems, ground control stations, and surveillance radar sites near the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM called it a proportional response to unjustified Iranian aggression. And within hours of those American strikes, Iran hit back. Iran's Revolutionary Guard launched retaliatory strikes on American bases in Bahrain and Jordan. Kuwait intercepted additional attacks. The cycle that has defined this entire war is now spinning faster and harder than at any point in 102 days. And tonight, Vice President J.D. Vance said the administration is very close on achieving a deal with Iran, but that it could happen within the week or months from now, while bombs are still falling, while an American helicopter sits at the bottom of the Strait of Hormuz, while Iranian missiles are in the air over Bahrain and Jordan right now as you watch this video. Stay with me, because tonight is a turning point. Let us start with the Apache helicopter and everything we know about what happened, because this incident is not just a military event. It is a political and diplomatic earthquake that has changed every calculation in this war. A United States Army AH-64 Apache attack helicopter was on patrol over the Strait of Hormuz on Monday night when it went down. U.S. Central Command said the aircraft went down over the Strait of Hormuz, and its 2 pilots were rescued safely by drone boat. The rescue by unmanned naval technology was a first for American forces, a remarkable demonstration of the new tools this military is deploying in this conflict. Both pilots were uninjured. That is the good news. The aircraft itself is gone, sunk in one of the world's most strategically critical waterways. Trump announced the incident Tuesday morning on Truth Social in a post that was direct, personal, and immediately escalatory. He wrote, "I have just been informed by our great military that last night the Iranians shot down one of our highly sophisticated Apache helicopters while patrolling over the Strait of Hormuz. There were 2 pilots involved. Both are safe and uninjured. Nevertheless, the United States must, of necessity, respond to this attack." Those words, "must of necessity," are words that tell every military commander, every Iranian official, and every observer exactly what is coming. Trump did not say America would consider a response. He did not say America was reviewing the situation. He said America must respond, and then America responded. But here's the detail that makes this incident even more significant and more dangerous than the headline suggests. 2 U.S. officials told Axios that the helicopter was brought down by an Iranian drone, with one official saying it was unclear whether the helicopter was intentionally targeted, not whether Iran did it, whether Iran meant to. The investigation has determined that an Iranian drone hit the Apache and caused it to crash. What it has not determined is whether that hit was a deliberate act of war or whether the Apache was accidentally caught in crossfire or targeted by mistake. Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi's response to Trump's threat on social media gives a clue about how Tehran is framing it. He wrote that foreign forces in proximity to Iranian territory are at constant risk on account of their own human errors, plane accidents, or potentially being caught in crossfire. He said to reduce risk, the best solution is for them to leave. Iran is not claiming it shot down the helicopter on purpose. Iran is also not denying that its drone brought the helicopter down. It is saying America's military presence near Iranian territory creates inherent risks, and that those risks are America's problem, not Iran's. That is a statement crafted to avoid both admission of guilt and denial of capability. It is Iran's way of saying we did it, we do not apologize for it, and we will do it again. Now, let us talk about the American response, because what CENTCOM announced tonight represents a significant escalation in the direct military confrontation between the two countries. U.S. Central Command began launching strikes against Iran at 5 in the afternoon Eastern Time at the direction of the Commander-in-Chief, which means at Trump's direct personal order. CENTCOM said the mission is a proportional response to unjustified Iranian aggression. The strikes targeted Iranian air defense systems, ground control stations, and surveillance radar sites near the Strait of Hormuz. The specific locations hit were Jask, Keshem Island, and Bandar Abbas. Explosions were heard in Jask at approximately 2:30 in the morning local time, according to an IRIB correspondent on the ground. Additional explosions were reported in Keshem and Bandar Abbas. These are not random targets. Keshem Island sits directly inside the strait and has been hit multiple times throughout this conflict because American intelligence believes it holds underground Iranian missile stockpiles. Bandar Abbas is Iran's most critical naval and air base in the south of the country, the headquarters of the IRGC's naval operations. Jask is a key port city and naval installation strategically positioned to the east of the strait. America did not strike symbolic targets tonight. America struck the military infrastructure that Iran has been using to control the strait, shoot down aircraft, and harass commercial shipping for 102 days. CENTCOM said the retaliatory strikes were over by 9 in the evening Eastern Time, a 4-hour military operation in and out targeting 3 locations, and declared concluded. And then Iran struck back. Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced within hours of the American strikes that it had launched retaliatory attacks on U.S. targets across the Middle East. Iran struck bases in Bahrain. Iran struck bases in Jordan. Kuwait intercepted attacks directed at its territory. The cycle of strike and counterstrike that has defined every week of this war accelerated to its fastest pace yet on Tuesday. In the span of less than 24 hours, an American helicopter was shot down, 2 pilots were rescued, the U.S. conducted strikes on 3 Iranian military locations, Iran responded with attacks on U.S. bases in 2 additional countries, and the entire region went back on high alert. And through all of it, negotiations continued. A U.S. official told CNN the strikes were intended as a warning shot at Iran and that the U.S. believes they will not hinder war talks. Vice President Vance told reporters the administration is very close on a deal, but that it could happen within the week or months from now. That statement from Vance deserves its own clear examination because it is one of the most revealing things any American official has said about this war in weeks. Very close, and also months from now. Those 2 phrases are not compatible. A deal that is very close does not take months. A deal that might be months away is not very close. Vance is simultaneously expressing optimism and admitting that no one in the administration actually knows when or whether this war ends. And he said it on a day when America and Iran traded military strikes at their fastest pace in months. Let us now bring in the full picture of what has happened in the last 72 hours, because tonight's helicopter story did not appear in a vacuum. It is the latest and most dangerous escalation in a chain of events that began with Sunday's Iran-Israel missile exchange and Trump's 2 phone calls to Netanyahu. On Sunday, Iran fired multiple barrages of missiles at Israel after Israeli warplanes struck Beirut's southern suburbs. Trump called Netanyahu twice to stop a massive Israeli retaliatory strike on Tehran. Netanyahu agreed to halt attacks for now. Schools across Israel remained closed Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, American and Iranian forces continued exchanging strikes near the Strait of Hormuz. And then, Monday night, the Apache helicopter went down. And now on Tuesday, America has struck 3 Iranian military installations, and Iran has struck American bases in Bahrain and Jordan. The ceasefire that was supposed to be almost signed for 5 consecutive weeks has now produced its most intense military exchange in months. And through it all, both governments are still publicly describing a peace deal as close. The cognitive dissonance of that reality, bombs falling and negotiations continuing simultaneously, is now so extreme that it is impossible to explain to any outside observer in rational terms. Here is something that deserves direct and explicit attention tonight that the military news has completely overshadowed. The World Food Programme's acting executive director, Carl Skau, gave an interview to CNN this week that every American needs to hear. He said that ripple effects from the war in Iran are increasing the risks of acute hunger for millions of people around the world. He said the prolonged closure of the Strait of Hormuz is sending energy prices, and in turn, the cost of food around the world soaring. He said of the communities the WFP serves, when the price of food goes up 20 to 30%, well, they eat 20 to 30% less. He said the WFP had warned back in March that 45 million more people would face acute food insecurity as a result of this war. 45 million people. Tonight, those 45 million people are not thinking about Apache helicopters or Keshem Island or the ceasefire timeline. They are thinking about whether they can feed their children tomorrow. That is the human cost of this war that gets no headlines but is real and growing with every week that the strait remains under Iranian control. The energy picture is also shifting in a way that matters directly to every American watching this video. The United States Energy Information Administration said this week that global oil demand in 2026 is falling by 1.1 million barrels per day compared with last year, driven in part by the economic disruption caused by this war. But the EIA also projects that demand will increase by 2.5 million barrels per day in 2027 as oil prices decline and Middle East oil production gradually rises. That projection assumes the war ends and the strait reopens. If tonight's escalation pushes the war further from resolution, that 2027 recovery in energy production may not materialize on schedule, and the elevated prices American families have been paying for 100 days will continue well into next year. Let us also address something that has been in the background of this entire conflict, but which becomes more urgent with every escalation. The constitutional status of this war. The House of Representatives passed a war powers resolution last week, directing Trump to end hostilities with Iran. Trump has not complied. The administration has questioned the constitutionality of the War Powers Act itself. And tonight, Trump ordered strikes on Iran at his own direction, without congressional authorization, without a declaration of war, on his third month of conducting military operations that a majority of the House of Representatives voted to end. Every additional strike America launches makes the constitutional question more pressing. And every American who believes in the separation of powers enshrined in the Constitution deserves to know that this war is being fought without the explicit authorization of the legislature that is supposed to authorize it. Now, let us address the Iran deal directly, because despite everything that happened today, both governments are still describing a deal as possible. A U.S. official told CNN the strikes were intended as a warning shot and would not hinder talks. Vance said the administration is very close. Pakistan's mediators are presumably still in contact with both sides. And Iran's own foreign minister, even as his government was launching retaliatory strikes on American bases in Bahrain and Jordan, said Iran will assess the situation in the wake of the strikes. Assess the situation is diplomatic language, for we have not walked away yet. Iran is still leaving the door open, even after shooting down an Apache, even after striking Bahrain and Jordan, even after all of Tuesday's exchanges. What that tells you is that both sides have concluded, perhaps correctly, that the cost of ending this war through a deal is lower than the cost of letting it continue. Iran's economy is devastated. Iran's military has been severely degraded. Iran's enriched uranium stockpile cannot protect Iran from the consequences of indefinite economic blockade. And America has its own costs: elevated gas prices, constitutional crisis, congressional rebellion, a fractured alliance with Israel, a world food emergency, and now a helicopter at the bottom of the Strait of Hormuz. Here is the full picture as of tonight, June 10th, 2026, day 102 of this war. Iran shot down a United States Army Apache helicopter over the Strait of Hormuz. Both pilots were rescued safely. Trump ordered strikes on 3 Iranian military sites near the strait. Iran struck American bases in Bahrain and Jordan. Kuwait intercepted additional attacks. The strikes and counterstrikes are over for tonight, according to CENTCOM. But the war is not over. The deal is not signed. The strait is not fully open. The IAEA is not inside Iran. Iran's missiles are untouched. Lebanon is still burning. And Vance says the deal could be this week or months from now. America, here is my question for you tonight, and it may be the most urgent one since this channel launched. Iran shot down an American military helicopter. Our pilots survived. Trump struck back. Iran struck back at our bases in Bahrain and Jordan. And Vance says a deal could be this week or months from now. Here's what I need you to tell me right now in the comments. Does shooting down an American military helicopter cross a line for you? Does this change how you think about this war? And given everything that has happened in 102 days, do you still believe a peace deal with Iran is possible and worth pursuing? Or is it time for America to end the ceasefire entirely and fight this war to a conclusion? Drop your answer right now. This is your military. These were American pilots in that water. Your voice matters. Subscribe and turn on notifications. This story is moving by the hour, and we will be here every single moment of it.